Don't Ask, Don't Tell is still...
Yeah, I've got, well, I know that this came out a couple days ago. The Department of Defense released its report of the comprehensive review of the issues associated with the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And let's see. It said it would produce only a low risk of compromising overall military effectiveness. The report suggests that any disruptions are likely to be short-term and isolated and can be managed with effective leadership, professionalism, and respect for all within the military. 70% of the 115,000 service people who were surveyed said that repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell would have a positive, mixed, or no effect on a unit's ability to work together and get the job done. And they estimated that there are currently about 71,000 lesbian, gay, and bisexual men and women currently serving on active duty and in the Guard and Reserve forces in the military. Striking that among the group, 92% stated that their unit's ability to work together was very good, good or neither good, or neither good nor poor. In general, the survey shows that fears associated with working with openly LGBT colleagues are much lower among those who have already done so, which makes sense because you are no longer fearful of what you know.
Yeah.
I think is what it really comes down to. What's really interesting is I saw a follow-up on this that someone wanted to see if any studies have been done regarding lesbian, gays, or bisexual people coming into a hetero space, and do they actually disrupt something?
Okay.
So let's say like a homosexual male coming into a heterosexual male's showers. If anybody even knows.
Right.
would anybody know? One, would anybody even know that had happened? And two, would there actually be a disruption? Would there be difficulties? Because we haven't seen any studies.
Right, that's
that end.
It's
all conjecture.
Do we have any case where a gay, lesbian, or bisexual person has done anything to anybody?
Right.
We don't have that case. We would have heard it by now.
Right.
Isn't the flip side of that is, do we have any hate crimes? Do we have any military hate crimes where at any time in the armed forces anybody attacked somebody who was gay, lesbian, or bi? I don't think we have that either.
I don't know.
We don't know yet, but don't you think we would have heard it? Like, wouldn't it?
Well, I don't know if we would have heard about crimes within the military, only because it's hard for anybody in the general public to have heard of any crimes within the military.
Okay.
Because they go through a different tribunal and a different law system. So, and it's not a public law system. So I don't know that we would have heard anything. Just as we're not going to hear about necessarily even theft or sexual assault or other things happening with under the military.
Yeah.
They've
always been there. That's what.
But I don't know. Right. I mean, they're.
If anybody knows how to not be noticed and called out, it would be the gay, lesbian, and bi people. Like, they're so, even before Don't Ask, Don't Tell,
right.
I'm sure they had to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, and then they're talking about, do we have to have separate bathrooms? It's like, well, you haven't had them up to this point. What's
right.
the problem? And to me, I mean, you say separate bathrooms, that smacks of 40 years ago. I mean, that's some sad shit. If you're gonna label them too, And
straight, it's interesting.
Gay. Like, are we gonna label the fucking like water fountains also? Like, that's sad. That's really, really sad.
And what's interesting is that the comments that I've been seeing, when we did our last show about the LGBT youth, and we had the college students here,
mm-hmm.
and we were asking them about if there were restrooms on campus that were non-discriminatory, that were just restrooms. Like, we all have bathrooms in our homes, and there's not a guy's room and a girl's room. They're just bathrooms in our homes.
Yeah, but do you really want... I don't want to take a dump next to a guy.
So, but the idea is...
What? Yeah, I didn't understand that conversation when we were having it.
What was interesting, though, is that people were commenting to it and kind of saying, yeah, I don't understand why we don't just have restrooms as opposed to male bathrooms.
Because women throw maxi pads in the garbage and guys pee on the floor. I don't want. And they don't normally do it in your home. I mean, I guess they do sometimes, but you know, it's still different. Public bathrooms are filthy. People deliberately don't care in public bathrooms.
So maybe it's a matter of maintenance of public bathrooms and not whether or not there are men and women using them at the same time.
Sure, but don't you think we would have had that worked out by now? I mean, every place is not like Disneyland. Every place cannot afford that much maintenance.
Well, I don't know if we would have had that worked out by now.
I mean,
I have no idea.
There's some filthy bathrooms out there. I don't have to tell any of you that.
They're very horrible. Yeah.
You know. In fact, my theory is that women are actually filthier than men because there's things that we touch a lot more often, at least once a month.
Okay.
Emily's not going to go there with me.
I'm not going down that road with her. But I have noticed, we had somebody in the chat room saying that she saw restrooms in Vegas where there was male restrooms, female restrooms, and then anybody restrooms.
Uh-huh.
And the anybody is meant for families. Or
oh yeah,
with
that's for if daddy has to change baby's diaper.
Or take a 2-year-old into the restroom.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And again, I think that helps people who are transgender or people who don't care or don't want to be labeled one way or the other. You can go into that restroom.
Okay, well, somebody who is gender queer or queer, they can just pick on the day. If they feel like going in the women's one day or the men's,
well, you know, technically speaking, they can. But if I looked feminine and went into the men's room, mm-hmm. there would be issues with that.
I don't know. I think
someone very masculine went into the women's room. There would be issues
women will
with that.
scream, but guys will just be like, "Ugh," and look at you. I have a feeling guys would not kick you out, but women will scream.
I guess it would depend on where I am.
Yeah, depend on where.
Because they might have issue if I'm in a space that's meant for men.
Yeah.